this winter.
America's #1 sports book.
A Newport News teacher hailed as a hero after a 6-year-old student shot her.
She turned around. She turned around to make sure that every one of those students is safe.
And tonight, dozens gathered for a prayer vigil as she recovers.
People from all over that support her, and she deserves it. She is a wonderful teacher.
We have the latest on her condition and how the boy who shot her got his hands on a gun.
Damar Hamlin is out of the hospital. What's next for the Bills star now that he's back in Buffalo?
Congress is officially back in session, where the Republican-controlled House stands after the tense battle for the speakership. Tonight, a Newport News teacher is being praised for her actions inside her classroom at Rich Neck Elementary after a 6-year-old boy pulled a gun and shot her.
25-year-old Abby Zwerner was hit in the chest, and today we got an update on the investigation, including how the boy got the gun and where he is tonight. Chief Steve Drew says the gun used belongs to the boy's mother. It was legally purchased in York County, and the boy put it in his backpack before heading to school. Tonight, that child is in a hospital undergoing an evaluation. The chief did not say if he or his mother would face any charges because of his age. The department is working with Child Protective Services and a community service board to seek guidance, since they've never dealt with anything like this before.
We have team coverage tonight. Angelo Vargas tells us what the Newport News superintendent is doing to address concerns about school security. But we start with Angelique Arentok. She attended a prayer vigil for the teacher and has an update on her condition. And it is all new at 11.
Droves of people stood outside the Newport News Public Schools Administration building Monday night. They came here to pray for Rich Neck Elementary teacher Abby Zwerner, 3 days after police say a 6-year-old student shot her in the middle of class.
Bless Abby. Give her family the strength that they need to get through this.
Abby is a warrior, and she demonstrates mental and physical strength every day.
Friends and coworkers describe Zwerner as graceful and compassionate with an always smiling face.
And you can just go in, feel better, and then leave having a better day after talking with her.
The first grade teacher recovers from serious injuries after Friday's shooting. Police Chief Steve Drew says as of Monday, she's in stable condition.
Abigail is a 25-year-old teacher, and she is a trooper.
Drew says a 6-year-old boy fired a single shot. It pierced Zwerner's hand and upper chest area.
But she was still able to get all of her students out of that classroom. Mrs. Werner was the last person to leave that class. She made a right turn and started down the hallway, and then she stopped. And she turned around. She turned around to make sure that every one of those students was safe.
The crowd also lifted up prayers for all Rich Neck students, including the suspect as well as staff. In Newport News, Angelique Arentok, 13 News Now.
Now, this isn't the first shooting the school division has experienced in recent years.
In fact, it's the third. In September of 2021, a 15-year-old student opened fire inside Heritage High School. 2 students were shot but survived. 3 months after that, a 17-year-old boy was shot and killed in the Menchville High School parking lot during a basketball game. Today, the superintendent addressed lingering safety concerns. Angelo Vargas picks up our team coverage.
Newport News Public Schools Superintendent Dr. George Parker says the administration may make some safety and security protocol changes after the 6-year-old student shot a teacher inside Rich Neck Elementary School last week.
As a kindergarten teacher, we talk about teaching our students to understand how to interact in society.
Debbie Downs teaches at Katherine Johnson Elementary. She tells me one way to help increase safety is to be more aware of students' behavior.
And one of the things that we really need to do is to spot the cues that will let us know when our kids need help.
In a press conference on Monday, Superintendent Dr. Parker addressed the public about safety and security concerns.
This incident right here will cause us to rethink how we handle our youngest children coming
coming into our division.
Dr. Parker says the administration is looking into adding metal detectors in all buildings, including elementary schools.
And I don't believe anything would have avoided this circumstance right here unless kids walk through a metal detector. So that's something that we just have to consider moving forward.
Dr. Parker says before decisions are made, he has to talk to Rich Neck Elementary staff and parents.
We want to work on the mental health of our staff and really build out a plan with their input that will allow us to proceed forward with their cooperation and the cooperation of our parents and families.
In Newport News, Angelo Vargas, 13 News Now.
Classes at Rich Neck Elementary School have been canceled this week to give students and their families more time to heal.
The superintendent also says the division plans to hold a virtual town hall on Thursday. They'll send that information to parents and staff once the details are finalized. Let's take you live now over Virginia Beach Town Center. A chilly but seasonable start to the work week, but those temps are going to gradually climb. Meteorologist Francis Payton is tracking that for us, and even a chance for some flurries in the extended forecast.
Oh boy, just a chance, and it's well in the extended forecast, so we can just calm down about that, but there is the potential. Right now, we're just looking at that high pressure system. We are not tracking any precipitation, I should say, in the near future, but we're currently looking at some pretty chilly temperatures tonight. Currently sitting at 40 right now. You're noticing your barometric pressure continue to rise. Earlier this evening, your barometric pressure was sitting at 30.02, now 30.06. Watching this high pressure system just gradually strengthen throughout the area for the start of this week. Here it is right here, which means we're going to continue to watch it move easterly. I expect it to almost be directly over the region by Wednesday and still staying relatively on the weaker side in terms of a high pressure system. But breaking down tomorrow for you, it's going to be almost on par with what is considered a seasonable day for January. Typically, you have your high temperature around 51 degrees. We're looking at highs, upper 40s. Few of us flirting with that 50-degree mark. We're looking at plenty of sunshine across the area. It's going to be a pretty beautiful day tomorrow, but we have a lot of things to break down. There's a major storm system out towards California. We're watching that move eastward, and that's going to have an impact on us here at home. We're looking at windy conditions on Thursday and then rain showers entering the forecast late on Thursday. We'll continue to monitor those rain showers even into Friday. And then we're talking about that colder air. We have the potential seeing some flurries, but icy conditions are expected for the western portion of the state. I'm going to have more details on all of this coming up in 10 to 15 minutes. Nicole?
All right, Francis, thank you. An incredible recovery for Damar Hamlin. Tonight, the Bills' safety is out of the hospital and back in Buffalo.
This comes exactly 1 week after he went into cardiac arrest on the field while playing against the Cincinnati Bengals. ABC's Morgan Norwood tells us more.
Buffalo Bills safety Damar Hamlin continuing his extraordinary recovery, flown from a hospital in Cincinnati over to Buffalo.
This is the beginning of the next stage of his recovery.
Doctors say Hamlin spent days sedated and intubated and took a turn for the better, even walking around the hospital on Friday.
He has been up with physical therapy and occupational therapy, walking the unit, tolerating a regular diet, meeting with his family.
Bills head coach Sean McDermott was able to visit Hamlin today.
Yeah, I'm super excited that he's back in Buffalo. He's doing well and a little bit tired, but it was good to see him in person for the first time in a while.
Last Monday, Hamlin went into cardiac arrest, collapsing on the field. Medics treating him less than 1 minute after his heart stopped, as the stunned crowd watched in silence. His transfer to Buffalo coming just 1 day after the Bills' thrilling victory, scoring a rare touchdown on the opening kickoff.
This is storybook, an opening kickoff return for Damar Hamlin, and this place is absolutely going wild.
Hamlin live tweeting from his hospital bed, and doctors say even jumping out of his seat during that eye-opening play, triggering alarms on his medical devices. After arriving at his new hospital in Buffalo today, Hamlin tweeting, "Watching the world come together around me on Sunday was truly an amazing feeling. The same love you all have shown me is the same love I plan to put back into the world and more." Morgan Norwood, ABC News, New York.
Potential classified documents found at President Biden's former office, what the feds are now doing with a batch of papers.
After an historic speaker election, the new Congress reconvenes to vote on House rules. And just hours away from special election day in Virginia, details on the 7th Senate district race between Adams and Rouse. Next. Tonight, the Justice Department is reviewing a small number of potentially classified documents found in an office formerly used by President Biden. They were uncovered in a locked closet in November while Biden's personal attorneys were clearing out the Penn Biden Center. Biden briefly had an office there in 2017 after he left the vice presidency. The White House immediately notified the National Archives, who took custody of the documents the next day. Now let's take you live over Capitol Hill. Tonight, the 118th Congress gavelled into session. The Republican-controlled House voted on the rules that will govern the body over the next 2 years.
Comes after a historic speaker election. After 15 rounds of voting, Kevin McCarthy finally received enough support to take over the post. ABC's Alex Perche brings us up to speed from Washington.
Tonight, the new House with its newly elected Republican Speaker handling its first order of business.
The resolution is agreed to.
Passing rules that will govern the body for the next 2 years, including a host of concessions new Speaker Kevin McCarthy made to win the support of right-wing rebels. McCarthy was finally elevated to Speaker this weekend, but it took 15 rounds of ballots in the bitterly divided GOP caucus, the longest election since 1859.
My father always told me, it's not how you start, it's how you finish.
On the 14th ballot, McCarthy fell 1 vote short, tempers clearly on edge. McCarthy confronted one of the Republican holdouts, Matt Gaetz. Then fellow Republican Mike Rogers of Alabama needed to be physically restrained from going after Gaetz. After nearly a half hour, they struck a deal after McCarthy made deep concessions, including allowing a single lawmaker to force a vote to remove the Speaker from the House. Moderate Republicans concerned about the chaos on the floor and the new rules.
Were you concerned about how some of these deals were cut? Any horse trading or backroom deals, that's not okay and shouldn't be tolerated.
Now McCarthy faces his next challenge, keeping everyone in his caucus on the same page as they try to govern, even those that didn't want him as Speaker.
They can only lose 4 Republican votes on any given issue. That means you've got to keep the moderates on board. You have to keep the rabble-rousers aboard, the people that never wanted them to be there.
Any given day is going to be a little bit different. Probably much like Democrats dealt with over the last 4 years with narrow majorities.
Alex Perche, ABC News, Washington.
This week, state lawmakers will get back to work in Richmond. The General Assembly convenes Wednesday for the 2023 session. One of the first things lawmakers will do is hear the State of the Commonwealth address from Governor Glenn Youngkin. He'll deliver the speech Wednesday afternoon at 4 and outline what he's calling his Day 2 agenda for Virginia.
It's your voice, your vote. Tomorrow is special election day for some voters in Virginia Beach and Norfolk. The 7th District Senate seat needs to be filled now that Congresswoman Jen Kiggins is in D.C. Former Virginia Beach City Councilman Aaron Rouse is running against Navy veteran Kevin Adams. If Adams, a Republican, wins the seat, Democrats will still hold a slim majority in the Senate, 21-19. The polls are open from 6 a.m. until 6 p.m. And that's not the only special election coming up in Hampton Roads. The 4th District congressional seat has been empty since Congressman Donald McKeeshan passed away in November, shortly after he won re-election. The man he defeated, Leon Benjamin, is now running against State Senator Jennifer McClellan for the seat. Early voting is already underway. The special election itself is set for February 21st.
All right, time for another check of your forecast with Francis. A chilly start to the work week, and we could even, I hear you talking about the flurry stuff, but not to worry now.
I like that we're saying flurries rather than the S word because I know that some people are perking up right now and they're trying to settle in for bed. So, bear with me for a moment. Today was a beautiful day. We had a few rain showers earlier this morning, had 0.2 of an inch of rainfall with that system, but the rain exited very quickly. By about 4:30, we saw dry conditions across the area, but it was on the chilly side. But by chilly is actually pretty much on par with what's seasonal for this time of year. We had a high temperature of 51 degrees. Typically, again, you see a high temperature around 51, so right on the spot, basically, what's seasonable. And that's pretty much what we'll expect to see for tomorrow as well. We're dealing with a lot of that typical January air that's staying in place. Currently, we're looking at mostly clear skies, sitting at 40 right now in Norfolk. Other temperatures across the area, we're talking 30s. Right now, near freezing in Virginia Beach at 32, 32 in Wakefield as well, 34 in Hampton, and 34 in Moyock. We're looking at those temperatures tonight, pretty much ranging from the upper 20s to the low to mid 30s. So it is going to have a chill in the air tonight, so just something to be aware of, and as we are going to continue to deal with those mostly clear skies. Here you have on your satellite radar behind me, not too much to talk about, a lot of great landscape right there, and that's pretty much how it's going to stay as we do have that high pressure system in place. But we have some changes on the way. We're talking about the chance of seeing some flurries later in the weekend, but first we have a rain system to talk about. So this is a pretty extensive storm system out towards the west. We're going to watch this and track this as it moves eastward. Now, again, we expect to see some rain showers ahead of this. We're also looking at some warmer air ahead of this system before we start to see a little bit of a tumble within those temperatures. So tomorrow, Wednesday, seasonal January day. Thursday, we have a bit of a warm up before those rain showers enter in here at home in Hampton Roads. But with the warmer air, it is also going to be quite on the breezy side before we start to see a tumble with highs for this upcoming weekend only in the 40s. Let me take you through your futurecast. Pretty much rain showers don't enter here until about late Thursday. We'll continue to monitor this line of showers throughout your Friday morning, even into Friday evening. I wouldn't rule out a couple showers lingering on the coastline. Now, this is pretty much a 1-2 punch system. This low pressure system will have two fronts associated with it. So that's the first part. The second part, likely bringing some snow showers throughout parts of West Virginia and the Appalachian Mountains. I also want to rule out some flurries for the Blue Ridge that are going to actually blow off the Appalachian Mountains. Something to be aware of. But it is going to be rather cold behind your first frontal passage. So watch this cold air start to linger in the region. Likely could see a bit of that wintry mix to some flurries on Saturday, late on Saturday, something that we will monitor. It is a decent amount of the way out in terms of that 7-day forecast, so just something we're watching.
All right, next, the Mega Millions jackpot keeps climbing, and as ticket holders prepare for the numbers to be read, so are scammers, what you can do to avoid falling victim. And Cirque du Soleil Corteo is coming to Norfolk. Tickets are on sale now, but 13 News Now wants to send you for free. One lucky winner will get 4 premium tickets and a backstage tour. Enter at 13newsnow.com/sweepstakes. We are less than 24 hours from the next Mega Millions drawing. The jackpot is more than $1 billion, but as ticket holders wait for those numbers to be read, so are scammers.
The Verify team found out what to look for whether you bought a ticket or not. Here's Brandon Lewis.
The Mega Millions jackpot is more than $1 billion, with the cash option prize expected to be more than $568 million. The prize is now the third largest in Mega Millions history. That's got people racing to buy tickets, but as you try to get rich quick, be careful because scammers may be trying to get rich off of you. Let's verify. Are there lottery scams around large jackpots like the one in Mega Millions? Our sources are Mega Millions, Powerball, the Better Business Bureau, and the Federal Trade Commission. Scammers have a history of targeting people who play lottery games, including Mega Millions and Powerball. On its website, Mega Millions warns of one particular tactic, a phone call, text, or email informing that you've won and asking for either payment or your personal information to claim the prize. And you don't have to buy a ticket to be scammed. Mega Millions also warns scammers could claim to be past winners looking to share their money in exchange for information. Both Mega Millions and Powerball say they do not reach out to prize winners. The FTC and the Better Business Bureau say signs of a scam include being asked for personal information or to send money to pay fees or taxes on the prize. So, yes, there are lottery scams, particularly around large jackpot games like Mega Millions. Our sources recommend contacting your state's Attorney General and the FTC if you think you've been scammed. You can report scams to the FTC by going to reportfraud.ftc.gov. With your Verify, I'm Brandon Lewis.
The Washington Commanders have now put their 2022 season in the rearview mirror. Some thoughts from players where to go ahead from here.
And now the Window World Sports Report with Brian Smith.
It's not a secret the Washington Commanders will have an offseason of uncertainty they've probably really never seen in the franchise's history. Not just stuff on the field, but off the field as well. Nothing in concrete as to who's going to own the franchise, depending on what Daniel Snyder decides. Then there's, everything is kind of up in the air. They did well against the Cowboys. They may have found the quarterback of the future in rookie Sam Howell, who ran for a score and threw for another. That also leaves, where does former ODU product Taylor Heineke go? So many questions.
I love every guy in this locker room. We fight hard for each other. So I would love to come back and be with these guys, but free agency is a crazy deal. We'll see what happens, but Washington would definitely be my first choice.
There's going to be changes throughout every organization, throughout the league, and I was telling the receivers the other day, just enjoy these moments that we have because this is a fun group I got to be a part of this year.
Just need a little bit of consistency. We'll come out the gates a little bit early, a little bit quicker next year, sustain it through the middle of the season and finish the season well because, obviously we won the first game of the season, but we kind of hit a little bit after that.
I'm excited for what's to come. I'm excited that I don't have to rehab my knee this offseason. I can just get strong in the mud and come back explosive.
College hoops and the Norfolk State Spartans, both the men and women on the road this evening at Delaware State. NSU men starting off well against the Hornets. Darrell Anderson had a pair of threes that got him out to an early 6-0 lead as he wound up finishing with 10 points. Then it was former Kings Fork Bulldog George Beal Jr. How about hitting his first 5 shots? 4 of them three-pointers, wound up with 19. They led 36-29 at the break. Second half, it was all Norfolk native Joe Bryant Jr. Deep 3 from there. NSU with 11 threes for them as a team. Then one more time from Bryant. The steal heads the other way. The and one, a team high 20. Sparta wins 78-65. They've now won 7 of their last 8 games. The NSU women, they had to deal with a delay of sorts in the half hour. They were a malfunctioning clock by the Hornets, but they were okay. Camille Downs led them with 8. 9 players scored. They win 40-26. NSU improves to 14-3. And the national title game tonight. Number 1, Georgia, going for back-to-back, taking on titles, that is, taking on TCU, looking for its first in 85 years. Dogs on the board, Stetson Bennett, the keeper, led 7-0. Horned Frogs did get within 3. That would be Max Duggan for the keeper. That got within 2 yards, but that's as close as they got. Georgia just steamrolled them from there. They go on to win by a final of 65-7. Back-to-back chips for Georgia. Oh, and what a week we'll have a week from today at Norfolk Scope, the ECHL All-Star Classic. Sunday, they'll have a fan fest at Waterside. Then on Monday, it's a busy day. I'll be master of ceremonies for the ECHL Hall of Fame. We'll have live coverage leading up to the game itself, 4, 5, and 6, and a full recap during sports at 11 o'clock. It's going to be busy.
Doing it all.
I'll be there. I mean, Connor and Julia will be there. They'll be doing stuff.
All right.
I'll be there too.
Yes.
Oh, you too.
But in a different capacity. I'm not working.
There you go.
Y'all have a good night.